Welcome to Community News Media. We are here today with another amazing episode of Pickleball, the fastest growing sport in the nation. Before we get started, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Coral Reef Medical Supply. Coral Reef is located at 14307 in Palmetto Bay in our community. So go to Coral Reef for all your medical supply needs. And today I want to welcome back Lily Azel, Ambassador of Pickleball for all of South Florida. It's such a pleasure to have you back here.
Thank you.
We've missed you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a little challenging the last month, but I'm back and I am really motivated at this point.
I know, and we have a lot to talk about, so I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
Because I know we're very passionate about pickleball and the inclusiveness in our community and some things that are going on, especially with the youth.
Yes.
So let's first talk about Connor Pori. So just for our audience, let's talk about how I'm going to mention Connor's a 15-year-old student at Palmetto High School, and we had a tournament or a fun little get-together at Coral Reef Park, and the mayor was there because we're going to put some courts in there, and Connor played with his team and everything, and he's a passionate young man wanting to play pickleball all the time. And I think that our biggest issue at hand is these new courts at Coral Pine Park. So I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on.
Sure. Well, Connor Pori is a ninth grader at, like you said, Palmetto High. He helped his coach Kevin Mujica, start the pickleball program at his PE class in Palmetto High. And super motivated. Coach Mujica told me that he was involved in bringing his equipment and introducing the sport and helping out with the rules. And has really motivated his friends in Palmetto High, that is located in Pinecrest, Florida, to really get the sport started there. And as a result, I saw his passion for the sport, and we decided that we were going to sponsor the school, Palmetto High, to be the first USA Pickleball youth program in Miami-Dade County. So Palmetto High is the first one to have that membership at the USA Pickleball, which is the national governing organization of pickleball. So it was wonderful because this is a sport that, as you know, is intergenerational. It's inclusive, and Connor plays with his brother, his father. They played in other tournaments in the area, so he's very passionate about the sport. And he was playing at Sunnyland, which was the park in Pinecrest that had pickleball program, and Charlie Bibb, who's the ambassador for the area, the Pinecrest area, was very involved, and we're super appreciative for his involvement in getting that going in Pinecrest, Florida, in Sunnyland in particular. The program was Monday through Sunday. I think there were certain days in the morning, and I don't have the schedule, but pretty much the open play was in the mornings, and they did have programming on certain days, and Saturday and Sunday morning. And so Connor would play on Saturday and Sunday morning when he could, when he wasn't working. He works at Publix as a cashier. And so he would play, and he just really got into the sport. It's in his neighborhood. And what has happened is that a wonderful thing that Pinecrest built Coral Pine Park and these are 4 dedicated courts that have just been built. And what happened was that they were going to close all of the pickleball done at Sunnyland and move everything over to Coral Pine. But everything now was going to be pay for play. And I think let me correct that. They were going to retain 3 days in the morning to play pickleball for free, but pretty much none of the kids or none of the working families, which is the biggest growth in pickleball, are going to be able to use those courts. The wonderful thing is that they decided, because the community said, this isn't right, so they decided to keep Sunnyland as the open to the public, which is a wonderful thing. But again, it doesn't address the kids and the working families that are off he works till 6 on a few nights a week. So
Right.
there's nowhere for him to play locally. And the real upsetting thing is that the family would have to get in a car in traffic right after, in middle of rush hour to get to the only 4 courts that have lights, which is Tropical Park. So it's a wonderful thing that they've built these courts, but there's our youth is being disenfranchised, and it's a real concern. And he started this petition himself. He reached out to me and he said, I'm frustrated. I need help. I'm trying to speak and write my commissioners. He's 15 years old. I said, you have a voice. And he's using his voice, and he started a petition. And I believe that's where we're at now.
So just to interject for our audience, the petition is, you can see the petition, and anyone can go on there and sign this petition and allow for Connor to get these signatures so that people can play for free.
It's on the QR code, I believe.
Okay.
That on the screen.
So I think that, and this is what I guess people are not understanding, or maybe it's just Miami, because pickleball is so different than when you go play tennis.
Correct.
And it's a different kind of sport. It's more about bringing everyone together.
Correct.
It's not about Connor, it's about the youth, and it's about young, old, everyone can play. It's about taking kids that are on their cell phones or, on the streets and doing something good, playing sports. So this open play is where you can go, you can put your paddle in, and everyone can play.
Correct.
Whereas with tennis, I can understand the pay for play because you reserve a court and you pay, even though it is our public parks.
Right.
But with pickleball, it's a different type of sport. It's a different message. It's like basketball, where you go and you get a pickup game and that type of thing.
Correct. And you are so right. I mean, Connor Pori is pretty much so passionate about it. He says it's not right because he said I really represent my friends, youth.
Correct.
I'm doing this because it's not right. And I would do it if it was for basketball. I would do it if I played tennis. I said, so he's really, his heart is in the right place. And you are right. The pickleball is not tennis. The beauty of this sport is that it's a much smaller court. You can get in those 4 courts at Coral Pine, you can have 12 people playing. 16 people playing.
Right.
Because there are 4 courts. And it's a 20-minute game. People are waiting on the side, and they rotate. So that is typically the way the sport, and that's the reason the sport has grown so much, is
Right.
because it is a social sport. You put your paddle down anywhere. You can go to any place in the country and put your paddle down and pick up a game anywhere. And that's the beauty of why our kids love it so much. Connor told me I would have never met, Debbie Finkel, and I would have never met, I believe he said Vicky Luther. I would have never met some people that are older than I am. They're in their 50s or 60s
Right.
or 80s, and
Right.
had been exposed to them if I didn't have my Sunnyland pickleball community. And I'm happy that Sunnyland pickleball community is not going away. But again, it doesn't address the issue that our kids after school should be able to use our public parks. And the issue lies that it's what it represents to that family. Again, it's not only Connor. He's speaking out for a lot of families
Right.
that are in the same situation.
Exactly.
And that is, it's $20 per hour per court. Yes, it's $5 per player per court. But if his grandfathers and his brother want to go and play, it would be $40 for 2 hours.
Correct.
And it would signify almost $500 a month to play pickleball in that environment. And again, the sport is not like tennis. It's very different.
Right.
These kids play every day if they could. It's 3 to 4 times
Correct.
a week that they play, and it's cost prohibitive. And those are unintended consequences of policies, perhaps. But I know that Pinecrest is looking at things and is trying to listen to their residents, and to see really their high school kids
Right.
trying to address their needs also. So I know that there's a solution somewhere, and I told Connor there needs to be a solution.
And I think that for our council people, for our mayors, for just listen to, I mean, Connor is sending all these letters and all the, these emails, really trying to make this happen for the community, for, the young, the old, for everyone, because it's a sport that everyone should be able to play.
That's right. And I really was very interested in knowing a little bit more of Connor Pori. I've had the pleasure of having exchanges with him, but it's through pickleball, and he's reached
Right.
out to me as a USA Pickleball Ambassador. So I started doing a little bit of research on Connor and look at his profile on Instagram and what have you. I came across one of his projects. He started a charity called.
Right.
Did you see that?
I saw that.
Connor,
Yeah.
Connor's Helping Hands. And the more I dug into what he was doing, this young man started this charity where he was collecting supplies to help the homeless. So he would put kits together in these bags and
Right.
give them to the community or donate them to church. He said, I got so many of these bags and so much product that I had started to give them away at church. So his heart, he is all in it. His heart, he's a very empathetic young man. And we need more of that. And we need to engage and encourage that in our public parks. So I just hate for the system
To fail him.
and
Failing our
fail
kids.
the kids, because here's the ripe opportunity to use a sport to bring grandparents, parents, brother and sister, his brother and him play together, and here we are. We're policies are not addressing that.
Right.
So again, pickleball is not tennis. I understand tennis is a wonderful sport, but it's a different mode. The way that's done is different. You book a court, you have your 4 people or your 2 people, and that's
Right.
all that play there, which is wonderful. That's the sport. Pickleball is not that. Pickleball is you get people together in community. It's about community. And that's why we have done so much good in this community, because we get people together in community. We help one another. We support one another. If somebody's lonely, if somebody's going through something, my mother is in palliative care right now. I went through a horrible situation this last, she took a fall about a month ago. My community, my pickleball community, has reached out to me, has looked out for me, has offered their just words of encouragement
Right.
at all times. You have, and I appreciate that. That's what we're about, and that's what this sport does, is bring these kids together. Connor would have never met me if we didn't have this community.
Correct.
And the beautiful thing is that when you get on that court, you don't care who
About-
has, you don't care who has what,
Right.
where they live, what they have. You just care about being on that court and having fun with the people that are on that court. And Connor understands that. That's what he loved about it.
Right.
So it's not only about Connor. Connor says this is about my friends and other families that are just like me, and those homeless people that I'm helping.
Right.
They don't have those funds. So that's why we have to help this young man. He's a wonderful young man.
I totally agree. I think what you do is amazing, the work that you do, and I think it's amazing, and we totally do. And I at least we can start somewhere, maybe, and I have no idea, but maybe there can be for students, they can not have to pay.
Yeah, that would be
something
wonderful.
that we need to, get the ball rolling where we can do something to help these kids.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing, I mean, if you think about it, Coral Pine Park now has lights. Sunnyland, I think in the evenings, basketball is heavily used, I believe. I
Correct.
haven't been in that park.
They play pickleball in the mornings.
In the
at
mornings.
Sunnyland, yeah.
So there's really no space for the kids to play in the evening in Sunnyland. There's also other issues with the setup, but that's a different topic. But Coral Pine now has a facility with 4 courts, lights. I think a solution could be a few times a week, have open play, just like you have for your seniors and your retirees in the
Right.
morning. Open a few nights for kids. I mean, the biggest growth in the sport is 38 years and under. 21% of the growth in the sport is 24 years and under. So this is not a retiree sport any longer. This is about kids, families, kids, and youth. So that maybe having a few times a week open, one night, one day on the weekend where families can come and enjoy and do have all your programming, which is so necessary, your
Right,
league
of
play or
course.
your teaching, whatever instruction, whatever the community really wants, because everybody has different agendas and different things that they want to get out of the sport. But utilize the little resources that are had so that everybody can partake. In particular, in our public park system, our youth can go there, and Palmetto
Right.
High students can use the parks that have these facilities. So I think there's a solution. I just hope that Pinecrest elected officials can sort of open that dialogue up with Connor, and I think they are. I think Connor's reaching out, and he has told me he's gotten some nice replies, and I think from also the parks director Robert, which is wonderful, great news, Sunnyland. But again, it
Right.
doesn't address the issue that they can't play in
Right.
the evenings.
And I think that Miami, we need to, because like you've said before, we have so many parks in South Florida where you can go and play and you're not paying.
Yeah.
And there are so many courts.
And you know, you said something, so, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said something really powerful, because we have quality of life issues here. We have a traffic problem that
Yes.
we can't get around. And all we're doing by sending people to other communities to play for free, these kids, first, are they going to get there? Second, you've got more cars getting on the road on that Dixie Highway to get to a tropical park and on the expressway, which is the only place they can go for lights that is free in the area.
Right.
At the times that they can go. So it's a quality of life issue that is not only a park issue. It's a lot more, again, unintended consequences of policies.
Right.
So that's
Right.
really, really important to understand that. And also, like Connor said to me, he says, Lily, I know that there's play. I can go to the JCC. I have to pay. I can go to Salvation Army. I
Right.
have to pay. I can go to Riviera. I have to pay. Those are all in my area. I can't afford to go there and pay. So now
Right.
in my public park system, they're competing with these private entities to pay. So
And let me just say one thing. I'm people that can pay to play or want to go to private facilities. That's wonderful.
Wonderful.
That's great. We should support private facilities. I think it's wonderful that we have them. But that being said, this is a sport that everybody should be able to play. Young, old, rich, poor, everyone can play because it's really not expensive sport to play.
not at all.
So
Not at all.
that all you need is the ball and the paddle, and anyone can go out there and play. And it's wonderful for you mentally, like you mentioned, physically. There are so many wonderful things about it.
That's right.
And that's why the parks all need to come together and make sure that have some system there for the young, for the elderly,
For the working
for the working
families.
families that you're right.
The working families that have two kids. Thank God, the Pori family, the father and mother have these two wonderful kids that love to sport, to be active. One is 22 and Connor is
Right.
15. Wow, that's pretty powerful to have that whole family together, go out and play. There's another family that I love to see all the time on the courts, the Cyrus family.
Yes.
They have, I think it's four kids. They both play, both
Right.
mother and father play pickleball. You know how wonderful it is to see the son, the daughter to come in and play with their parents at Salvation Army or at a park. I saw them in Bryant Park because Manny Cyrus grew up in that area in Miami and he wanted to see what had happened, the program there. He went
Correct.
with his son and his mother. So it's really, really powerful to see that. And that's what we need more of. Pickleball brings people together,
Right.
families
And
together.
community needs to understand the importance of it, not that it's so different than tennis. And I keep prefacing that because it is totally different. I go out this weekend. I was at Salvation Army with my son. He was in town, and my husband, and we all went and played together. It was like our activity.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
which
was
is
really
wonderful.
nice.
And I'm so glad you said this because yesterday, the pay to play model, it's wonderful. You have options. I went yesterday to Ultra Paddle and Pickleball. It's been raining this whole week, so
I
we
know.
need so much more. We need so much more
Sure.
indoor play. I mean, all of the
Right.
JCC, I'm sure, is packed. I know Scott Rayco in Miami Beach is packed.
Yes.
North Shore is packed. Everywhere it's indoors is packed. I'm preparing to play in the U.S. Open Pickleball Championships next week. I can't train this week because it's raining here. So I decided to contact a couple of my friends. We rented a court,
Right.
$27 for $30 for 2 hours. That's my choice, right? I have that option. I want to do it. Perfect. Wonderful. I think it's a service that needs to be had out there. And I am so grateful for that. I'm grateful that the JCC is out there. I'm grateful
Right.
for Salvation and all of the companies. Mikusuki, it's a private facility. I'm really grateful for all. It gives everybody options. But our public park system I think the mission has to always stay, in fact, that this is how are we going to address
Right.
the residents or families in our community.
Correct.
That's where I think the
No,
challenge is.
I agree totally. So let's talk about one thing I wanted to ask you. Where are we now? How many courts do we have?
You know?
I mean, I just want to say that here at Community News, I'm very excited to share. We have a pickleball page on our website. So for everyone watching this show, you can see the show on our website. Go to the pickleball page. We have all the events that are taking place, and we have a heat map of all the courts that are in South Florida. So we have a lot.
That's wonderful.
It's great.
I've been so out of the loop in the last month. I haven't had a chance to go and check it out, but that's the first thing I'm going to do when we're done with the show because that's wonderful. I mean, there's so many wonderful activities, tournaments happening. This past weekend, we had what they call the pickle. Well, let me just
Funky
go back.
Pickle.
Funky Pickle was a couple
was a
weeks
couple
ago,
weeks
which was
ago.
wonderful. That was one of the most fun events that I've been to in a long time. Very exciting. Alex Greer that you had on the show did a
Right.
great job putting that
Yes.
together. Becky McCarran from the Battier Foundation did a fantastic job. A lot of fun. This past weekend at the Miami Design District, they had Pickle Jam. And they took these, and this is another concept that cities should be looking at. I'm trying to work with City of Miami, my commissioner, to see if we can do this. But now they have these 4-foot planks, and you can put together a pickleball court on asphalt or concrete base, which makes it very, very doable. And these are things that can be activated, courts that can be activated in urban environments, which again, real estate is at prime here. So that was really exciting to see because they had 6 courts. They had a party going on. They had DJ Irie there. It was a tournament. They had all these different sponsors. It was a lot of fun. And the youth, the young people, very vibrant community came together from all over the county to come together to enjoy that. And it was so much fun. I met with the Doral, Commissioner Porras Councilmember Porras, from the Doral on Monday. And we scouted sites in their parks to put together a tournament. In the fall, they want to put together a tournament in the fall to benefit a local charity in the city of Doral. So they're really on board. They have 10 blended line courts right now, all free for their residents. They're looking to see about dedicated courts just to sort of maximize all the usage because tennis and pickleball is being shared right now.
Right.
And so I told them, I said, really need to be fair to all the sports. So let's figure something out
Correct.
that
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
So that was really a good thing. And I'm really excited because on Friday I'm meeting with the city of Hialeah. who is been hearing from their residents and the need for courts there. They have a lot of underutilized space, so we are going to be meeting to see what can be done in that community. So a lot of things happening. The Big Five Club was the other place I went to last week. The Big Five Club is a very traditional old club from Cuba that came to the U.S. and set up on 87th Avenue. That's a club that's been there. They have courts outside. They have private areas. They have a domino room, and it was wonderful because they had a bar right next to the courts, right close to the courts, and they're looking to add. They have 4 dedicated courts now, and their memberships are there. So they are looking to add more courts and host more tournaments. So there's a lot of wonderful things going on. People have found that the community that is created through pickleball. With regards to the courts in the public park system, sadly, I haven't seen much movement in Miami-Dade County parks. Those courts that we came through feasibility study,
Right.
everything is so much, it takes so long in government and in particular in Miami-Dade County. So that is something that
Well, the good news is, a shout out to Karen Cunningham.
yes.
Amazing. I think the Palmetto Bay, those lines will be ready at Palmetto Bay Park soon.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it should be happening.
I
They need
understand that. Yeah, there are 2 courts. I think line courts that are going to go on a basketball court, so that will give somewhere for the
Right.
kids and families to play, and they have to figure out programming times and things like that
Correct.
again, so that there's no issues with basketball. So yeah, that's a wonderful
Yeah.
thing. So communities are slowly, moving. There was that wonderful 4-page article in the Miami Herald. I don't know if you saw that, really bringing to light the challenges that municipalities and cities are facing to catch up. Because quite honestly, Miami-Dade County has been probably the last county to really address this phenomena. I travel the country. I travel the state for tournaments, and you have courts everywhere, free in communities. You go north to Broward County, they've had these for years. I mean, we're finally getting them in Miami, and Miami is finally making
Right.
a name for themselves. Look at Miami Beach. Miami Beach has done an unbelievable job of just understanding and addressing, and they have a very active resident community. That just met. We had a meeting last week about what are the options, what can we do to address the demand? Because in Miami Beach, not only are they addressing the residents that are playing, but there's a huge tourist population. People come in with their paddles.
Oh, definitely.
And they
Yeah.
play in the local parks because they're hopping on Royal Caribbean cruise lines, and they have pickleball on
And
15
on
of
the
their
cruise
ships.
Yeah.
15 ships have pickleball on. So there's a huge demand. There's a swell. It's tourism. It's economic impact coming in here. So Miami Beach is understanding that, and they're really addressing it and trying to address it with the residents. What can we do? Where can we activate to address the demand, not only from residents, but obviously the demand that's coming from tourism, which is it's positive tourism. They've had some really bad headlines, and they realize that they need those positive tourists coming in, kids, families. That's what pickleball brings, is that kind of community.
Well, believe it or not, we have a minute left. I
Wow.
know time is just, there's so much that we could keep talking and talking. Next week is the U.S. Open
Yes.
Pickleball Championship.
Yes.
So I know you're playing in that.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
60 plus courts
So-
in Naples, Florida.
Everyone needs to go there and see what that's all about.
$60 a year for membership for residents to play. And it brings
Unbelievable.
$15 million to economic impact. And let me just say a shout out to Daniela Cohen-Higgins, Commissioner Higgins. Hopefully she's going to be going out there, meeting me out there. I'm not sure. But she understands it's raining. She wants a covered facility somewhere in her district. And I know Commissioner Regalado is also doing tons of work to try to get something here in her
Okay.
district.
Well, also, we have a few seconds left, and please go and look at our show, go on to the, and please click on the site on
The QR
the
code.
QR code, and please, please sign the petition for Connor Pori.
Yeah. He represents working families and kids.
Yes, absolutely. So, any last minute, anything you want to?
Gosh, I hope I
I
can
know.
come back with a medal, and
I
maybe
know.
I can wear it around my
Please,
neck.
please.
It's going to be a fun
I'm going to
week.
try to get there.
I hope so.
Yes.
It's a lot of Miami's going to be there,
Yes.
so which is good. A lot of players. So thank you.
So, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Go to our website, check out our pickleball page, and have a wonderful